Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Garcia versus Onama. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the prediction. So first fight on the card, we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Alencar versus Ariane Carnelossi. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence Alencar to beat Ariane Carnelossi. Carnelossi seems like the more well-rounded fighter, bigger fighter and whatnot, but she has not been particularly impressive. Alencar hasn't been impressive either, but I have seen Carnelossi out-grappled in so many of her fights. And Alencar is definitely a very decorated grappler, and she has decent takedown offense. And again, it's not like Carnelossi is anything special, so I will favor, I guess, the less mileage on Alencar's side and that huge grappling upside. And also, again, I think she's probably going to be the underdog. I don't know what the odds are yet, but it's seeming like Alencar is the underdog. Seeming like she might open up as underdog. Probably might close his favor, but yeah. I'm liking the underdog angle here for Alencar to be able to exploit Carnelossi grappling as it has been exploited multiple times. And anything, I think Carnelossi might be coming off a win, and that's by DQ, where she got dominated on the ground and her opponent decided to headbutt her or something, which was dumb. But yeah, I don't think Alencar will do something dumb like that. I think Alencar is going to look to exploit the grappling department. Probably still going to be a close, ugly fight, but I think Alencar is going to be able to get the takedowns, attempt some submission, land some ground and pound, and then just probably win a split decision here. So in this one, I got Alencar via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Rowe versus Suyok Ko. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Suyok Ko to beat Philip. I said Philip Rowe. Anyway, it is what it is. But I'm going Ko to beat Rowe. That's what I'm going. Low confidence. Rowe, has a lot of talent, but he's one of the guys that he has a lot of talent, but just can't put it together. In my opinion, maybe don't have the mindset for it. His last fight he was about to lose, and he had to flip the switch on and get it done late. Again, I can see something similar happening here, but Cole seems like he's a solid enough fighter. He seems like he got good pressure, good power, and he'll look to grapple and he'll look to do that round after round. I don't really see him like slowing down and stalling down, and it's not like Phil Rowe has ever shown particularly great takedown defense. Like I feel like he's been there to be taken down, unless you start to fade and then your takedowns start to become, I guess, labored, then he could pick up on that. And like again, he's got that. It seems like he's not really a good front runner. He don't really have ability to front run at this level. Like it takes him saying that you clearly stepped off the gas, or it takes him a while to lock in. Like he just seemingly can't lock in against this level of competition early. Like it gotta be like him saying you trending downward for him to lock in. You see, like I think pretty much every single UFC win he has been like a rally KO. Hasn't been like he just went out there and dominated or did what he had to do. He did that on the Contender Series, but as far as in UFC career, it's just been mostly fights him getting stalled out and losing, or fights him getting stalled out and then rallying and getting a finish. That's really been his whole career as far as UFC. So, but I think Cole is going to be able to fight a smart fight, mix it up, and grind out a decision over Rowe. So in this one, I got Suyuk Ko via decision. I know I'm butchering his name, but it is what it is. He wins a couple more fights, I'll get his name right, perfectly right or something. But is it right now? It's getting butchered, and I don't feel bad about that. It is what it is. Next one we got in the women's strawweight division, we got Montserrat Conejo Ruiz versus Alice Ardelean. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Alice Ardelean to beat Montserrat Ruiz. Ruiz hasn't really fought in a long time. A smaller fighter. Let's see what that teletape. She is slightly younger, but she's given 3 inches of height, 1 inch of reach. She hasn't been active. Alice Ardelean isn't the best fighter, but she put on a great performance by her standards in her last fight. Really probably like her last 2 fights. And yeah, Ardelean, she has credible enough grappling. Like her grappling is credible enough. I think she can address the grappling of Ruiz enough. Then she'll be the taller fighter. I think she's the better striker here. And I think she'll be able to land the shots on Ruiz and ultimately put her out. But I think Ruiz would be tough. I think she'll make it scrappy, but I think Alice Ardelean just will be able to address the grappling over the course of the fight, break her down, and put her away in the 3rd round via TKO. So in this one, I have Alice Ardelean via 3rd round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Caitlin Viera versus Norma Dumont. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Norma Dumont to beat Caitlin Viera. So yeah, I'm never particularly impressed by Caitlin Viera, but she manages to stick around. I think Norma Dumont's the better striker. I think she's the better grappler. Viera might just pack a little bit more power, but Dumont's just much more technical than her everywhere. So yeah, Viera's probably physically tougher, probably hits harder, and she's more aggressive. But I think Dumont will be much sharper boxer, be mixing the takedowns, be able to grind out Viera to decision. I can even see a stop it again. Viera is like very sloppy. I can see her walking into a counter and getting knocked out, face planted. Or I can see her just getting picked apart by the jab from range, and then Norma Dumont be able to time her sloppy hooks and get takedowns off them. But I think Viera is going to put up a good account for herself. I just think Dumont just going to be the much sharper fighter here overall. And that's going to carry her to a victory. So in this one, I got Norma Dumont via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we got Dante Johnson versus Cedric Dumas. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Dante Johnson to beat Cedric Dumas. So it's too soon to be, getting super hyped about Dante Johnson. And I don't think I'm ever going to be super hyped about Dante Johnson, but I do like him here a lot better than Cedric Dumas, and I do like his upside a lot more. I feel like Dumas is just not really evolving. He's kind of stagnated, staying in the same place. Dante Johnson came, from heavyweight. He's cutting down in weight. He's getting into his proper weight class now, and I think it's looking very good for him. He can wrestle, he can strike. And now he's fighting guys more so his size here. And it's not like Cedric Dumas ain't no real sharp striker, ain't no real sharp grappler. He doesn't do well when he's pressured, and when people tee off on him, he kind of have a quitter mentality. And I think Dante Johnson's gonna be able to press him in the full arsenal, maybe mixing the takedown just cause or whatever, striking. And it's really overwhelming. It's forward pressure combinations, maybe mixing the takedown too, just to give Cedric Dumas respecting the level change. They'll be able to come over top with some shots. Again, it's a lot of forward pressure, volume, push up work rate, put Dumas on his back foot, and make him have to carry all that pressure on that weight. And I see him putting away Dumas in the second round via TKO. So in this one, I got Dante Johnson via second round TKO. Now to the next fight we have in the bantamweight division, we got Timmy Cuamba versus Chang Ho Lee. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Chang Ho Lee to beat Timmy Cuamba. Very close fight, could go either way. Could honestly really not care about this fight either way. I just flip a coin, bet. As far as betting, I could care less about betting when I would just, I had to be really depressed or something wrong with me mentally to bet on this fight. Maybe somebody else got a gooder angle. I said gooder angle. I'm making it worse. A better angle on this fight, but I do not. So it's a coin flip in my honest opinion, but I think Chang Ho Lee better momentum. I think Cuamba's a sharper fighter overall, technically wrestling and striking, but I don't feel like he's very physically strong. I don't feel like he's so mentally tough either. I feel like kind of mentally not the strongest. Durability not the most durable. He got an okay heart. But yeah, physically not the strongest. Mentally he's not the strongest, in my opinion. I think Chang Ho Lee will be physically stronger. I think he'll pack more power in his punches. I think Cuamba will be a little bit more technical. Again, I can see this fight going a lot of different ways. But I'll go Chang Ho Lee. I think he'll be able to land the heavier shots over the course of the fight. And probably as the fight goes on, I think he'll be able to turn it up where I feel like Cuamba's probably going to start to fade a bit in this fight. But close competitive fight, but Chang Ho Lee landing the heavier shots and being more consistent over the course of the 15 minutes. So in this one, I got Chang Ho Lee via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Kevin Christian versus Billy Elekana. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Billy Elekana to beat Kevin Christian. So Kevin Christian has a good frame. It's like a pretty well-rounded fighter, but it just seems very rough overall. And I feel like Billy Elekana is more sharp and he just more finely tuned and ready for the UFC. I feel like Christian, how old is he? Let's see how old he is. He's 30. They're both around the same age. Christian is a little bit younger, but a little bit older. But either way, I just feel like Billy Elekana is more tuned. I feel like he's striking sharper. I feel like his IQ is better. I feel like he pieces He pieces his game together better. Like he pieces his striking well with his grappling. And again, I feel like all his skill sets are more tuned. I feel like Christian, he has the frame and the ability, but I feel like on striking and his takedown offense, just overall, it's like it's patchy. He has the talent. I was like a big dude, young, sitting in his prime. We 6'7", 80-inch reach. So again, he got some good attributes. It's just that it just seemed very rough. Like I said, skills are there in part here and there, but it's again, I feel like Billy Elekana is just a more put together fighter, and I think he'll be able to mix it up better. And I think he'll be able to break Christian down, and I'll see a late third round submission for Billy Elekana here. So in this one, I got Billy Elekana via third round submission. Or should I go TKO? I'll say TKO. TKO. Switch it up. Billy Elekana via third round TKO. Now the next fight we have in the flyweight division, we got Nascimento versus Cody Durden. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'll go average confidence Nascimento to beat Cody Durden. So average confidence Nascimento to beat Cody Durden. Cody Durden is a pretty scrappy guy, but I think he's on a little downtrend. I think 2-fight losing streak. He has struggled with submission grapplers in his career. And Nascimento's, he had that layoff, came back, had a great performance, showed a good skill set, showed a good ability to rally and make adjustments. I think he'll be able to keep his own on the feet with Durden, probably even land some good shots on Durden on the feet. Then be there mixing his level changes, and I think on the mat, I think especially on top position, I think he'll be to dominate Durden as far as the grappling department. And I think it's kind of like a weird down effect. I think on feet it'd be good competitive scrap. Durden might try and load up heavy early, and Nascimento's gonna respect that. But as fights start to settle in, I think Nascimento's gonna have the better shot selection on the feet and on the ground is real. Like on the ground as far as takedowns, and as far as striking. And even if Durden tries to wrestle, I feel like Nascimento will be in a reverse position. Again, I can see a lot of different things happen, like whether it be like Nascimento hurting Durden on the feet, or keeping competitive enough, and Durden just tries to shoot a takedown and Nascimento reverse him. Either way, whether it's Nascimento hurting Durden and then initiating the grappling, or he hurt Durden and Durden initiated grappling, I feel like either way this fight's going to go to the grappling at some point. And then from there, Nascimento's going to have his biggest advantage, especially when he reverses position and secures the top position and breaks Durden. I mean, yeah, he breaks Durden down. And I see a second round submission for Alan Nascimento. So in this one, I have Alan Nascimento via second round submission. So I got to slow it down. I know I'll be speaking fast and I've been away. I really haven't been away, but it feels like, I mean, I have been away. I've been away in Japan for like 5 days or 4 days, 3 days. But I know I've still been posting, but it feels like I've been away on vacation for like a month. So I feel like I'm going back to my OG speed of talking. And I know I talk fast regardless, but I got to slow it down. But anyway, next fight we have in the welterweight division, we got Charles Radtke versus Daniel Frunza. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Charles Radtke to beat Daniel Frunza. And I just feel like Radtke just a better overall fighter. And Radtke has taken some losses, but when you look at who he lost to mostly, most of the guys that are more elite, like we lost to Mayotte, he lost to Carlos Prates. And when I'm looking at his record, I'm not gonna really see what's on here, but I'm pretty sure his last loss was to Mayotte, and the prior loss was to Carlos Prates. So he losing to like top 15 competition. Whereas Frunza got put on a poster by a guy who struggles to even keep a UFC contract. So I think Radtke should be the better striker. He's fought better competition, beat better competition, more well-rounded. So he should have every advantage. I think he's tougher. So I think he'll. I feel like Radtke has submission ability, but he's been TKO on Ligo. So I guess TKO. I feel like he can get a sub here, but I'm going to say TKO. Second round TKO for Charles Radtke. I think he'll better break Frunza down over the course of the fight and then get the second round TKO. So in this one, I got Charles Radtke via second round TKO. Now, the next fight we have in the featherweight division, we got Isaac Dulgarian versus Yedier Deval. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Yedier Deval to beat Isaac Dulgarian. I don't know how Dulgarian's wrestling will show up. I know Deval got wrestling as well, and he's the more well-rounded fighter. That's why I'm leaning to him. But sometimes, like, both guys could be well-rounded, or both guys could be wrestlers or have wrestling backgrounds, and the other guy be more well-rounded. But then the other guy say, like, my wrestling just on a different level. And we know Dulgarian did get that rub against that veteran. Like, close fight, probably should have won his way. Probably. And that's his lone loss. And, again, he might have a big bounce back here. Yeah, Deval's impressive and whatever, but he's still very much new to this level in the UFC. So, it's too early to be all, like, super hyped about Yedier Deval, to be honest. Because, again, Dulgarian can go out there and show him, like, yes, we both have wrestling backgrounds, but my wrestling different. Like, yes, we both have wrestling backgrounds, and you're more rounded. You're more well-rounded, taller, same age, 5'7", 5'9". He's giving a reach though. So again, like mainly the reason I'm leading to Yedier Deval, like momentum. He's undefeated. He's more well-rounded. He can wrestle too. That's the main reason I'm leading. But again, the wrestling could be on a different level. I'm definitely pretty sure Dulgarian is the better wrestler. That's no question. Who will win this fight? It's a debatable. I'm just talking very weird. Like, I learned Japanese and then I forgot English, even though I learned zero Japanese. But it is what it is. I'm talking too much. I'm yapping too much. To get to the point, yeah, Dulgarian's very live here, but I'll go Yedier Deval mainly because he's more well-rounded. That's all it is. He's more well-rounded. I'm going with him. Well, not younger. Undefeated. More well-rounded. But he's a slight underdog on here, so I don't know how they feeling about it. But I'll go Yedier Deval decision. Like, no, nothing more needed to be said. Anything else, I'm just talking in circles. So, in this one, I got Yedier Deval via decision. Now, to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, we got Jeremiah Wells versus Themba Gorimbo. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Themba Gorimbo to beat Jeremiah Wells. And Jeremiah Wells is actually like the black version of the guy who beat Themba Gorimbo in his UFC debut, to be honest. Better, blacker. So, that's his concern. Like, Jeremiah Wells is very aggressive, packs a lot of power, has submission grappling base. So this could be a problem. Like Gorimbo has been exploited in his submission grappling. he's coming off a knockout loss. So Jermell Wells can exploit him in a lot of areas that he has been exploited. Like he just coming off a knockout loss. He has been submitted before, and Wells could definitely find both of those paths to victory. But I feel like Thimmer Gorimbo's going like every single time Thimmer Gorimbo loses, I feel like he improves. I feel like Wells. I can't say the same for Wells. He's older than Gorimbo, and I feel like he doesn't really improve after loss, at least not in the UFC. I feel like and also that's just a thing. When you're like 39, you're really not going to see too much improvement unless you're like a really special fighter. Like, oh, this fighter's still improving at 39. Yeah, you gotta be a really special fighter to be making improvements at 39 or making resurgences at 39. And Wells, like, great athlete and whatnot, but he's definitely not no special fighter or nothing, or no great fighter by any means. So he's definitely been looking up to the part where you're not going to see no great improvement from him. I feel like Gorimbo, like, he makes great improvement. Not to say he turned into no great fighter, but he does make significant improvement. And I think he'll make adjustments from his last fight. Maybe a little bit tentative, but I think he'll do what needs to be done here to win against Wells. I'll say decision for them, Gorimbo. I think a close, probably split decision type fight, but Gorimbo ekes it out maybe down the stretch, just being more conservative. Probably starts to walk Wells into shots. Just do a better job picking shots where Wells is coming out aggressive, trying to slam him around and trying to land these big shots and not really setting nothing up. Gorimbo is going to stay more calm, keep the sharper shots, exploit his height and reach against Wells, and also use his youth. He'll be the younger fighter here. And again, it's cleaner approach, make the better adjustments, and beat Wells over the course of 15 minutes. So in this one, I have Thimba Gorimbo via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the heavyweight division, we got Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Ante Delija. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Ante Delija to beat Waldo Cortez Acosta. So Waldo Cortez Acosta coming off a decent performance against Sergey Pavlovich, a former interim title challenger in Pavlovich. So he's coming off a performance where, he held his own. He lost for sure, but he definitely held his own. Ante Delija is coming off a performance where he just ran through Marcin Tybura. Going with Delija here, I feel like he's a more well-rounded fighter. Acosta showed good takedown defense in his last couple fights. And I think that was keep up here, but Delia's not really got it. Has to get takedowns. I feel like he can exploit the fact that Acosta does have good takedown defense. And sometimes he does use the cage to keep himself standing, where Delija will use that, exploit it to hold him against the cage. Instead of looking for a takedown flat out, he'll look to hold him against the cage, look to deal damage, build up volume against the cage, and wear down Acosta. But very close fight, especially with how Acosta's been making these improvements, and also the striking background. And he's live for upset here, for sure. But I got to go with Delija here. He does have some streaking momentum behind him. And he's a more veteran fighter. I think he'll be able to use that against Acosta to grind out a decision over Acosta. But good scrap. Acosta definitely live, but I think Delija is more well-rounded. And I think he has overall the better fight IQ. I think Acosta definitely the better boxer here. But as far as overall striking, probably got to get that to Delija. And overall ring generalship, overall IQ, overall experience, got to get at Delija. So overall, got to lean Delija here ever so slightly to mix it up and grind out a decision over Waldo Cortez Acosta. So in this one, I have Ante Delija via decision. And I don't know why I'm saying it that hard, but it is what it is. All right. Now on to our main event. We have in the featherweight division, we got Steve Garcia versus David Onama. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence, Steve Garcia to beat David Onama. And definitely not betting this one. Maybe a under, maybe a this, maybe a that, but can't put any great confidence in this fight. Leaning Steve Garcia, but this fight really has David Onama rally KO written all over it. Garcia does not have the best chin or the best defense. And Onama has a lot of power, and he has been known to rally in fights and find that big shot later in fights. Again, Garcia don't have defense, doesn't have a great chin, very aggressive. And this is a fight where Garcia come off the great start, probably touching Onama on the feet, even hurting him, taking him down, having some deep submission attempts, good ground to pound, maybe even just be running away with the fight. And then like in round 3, round 4 or whatever, he get a little too loose, comes in straight, comes in square with his chin in the air, runs right into like a right hand, runs into a straight, and gets face planted. Or I don't know, maybe Onama times with a knee if he circles off the cage or something, and Garcia just face plants or whatever. I could see that definitely happening in this fight. But I gotta go with what language are you speaking? But I got to go Garcia here. His momentum is crazy right now. He's on a streak, and I don't think he's gonna be willing to give that up so soon. And I really don't see no real great upward trajectory for Onama. He seemed like a good fighter, good power, good athleticism, whatever, good build, but he hasn't really been having great stellar performances. He's been struggling with guys coming in on short notice like Roberto Romero, like he's been struggling with guys that are debuting in the UFC, and hasn't been just one time, been like 3 times now that he's been struggling with these debut guys. beat your cause. Like I say, he hasn't really been impressing me. Basically, like he has a lot of close fights, struggling with guys who are debuting in the UFC, who are supposed to be fights that he should run away with, like should be first round knockouts, and he's the one getting hurt in the first round. Then he had to rally and get decisions or split decisions over these guys. But again, like he'll do all this, then he'll come out here and lose the whole fight and knock Garcia out in the fourth round. Like I could literally see that happening so easily. That's why, like, I'm not excited in this fight anyway. Like I can't be excited to bet Garcia, whether he's a small favorite or underdog. I can't be excited to bet Onama is underdog. I can't be excited about anything in particular. Maybe live betting, maybe if the odds get ridiculous and Onama's like like a plus 5,000 underdog at some point in this fight, and I keep saying that knockout shot present itself and he just a little bit off it, and they're like, oh, I mean, plus 5,000 given Garcia's lack of defense and Onama's ability to find those shots late in fights after kind of bend down in fights, and Garcia not really having a chin like that and the zero defense. Yeah, plus 5,000. That's a good live bet odd. But yeah, outright, just looking at it before the fight and not live, yeah, I can't see nothing really to like about this fight, except that it's probably gonna be a exciting fight. You know, from a fan perspective, enjoyment perspective, like I can see this being a banger fight. But as far as a betting perspective, I hate this fight. As far as money lines and props, I hate this fight. But yeah, I'm going Steve Garcia. More well-rounded, more aggressive, and just going to push the pace on Onama. And I'm going to see a third round TKO. I think he breaks Onama down over the course of the fight and then TKOs him in the third. So in this one, I got Steve Garcia via third round TKO. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Garcia versus Onama. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.